How you doing, everyone? It's another beautiful Wheel Wednesday. Yes, we are back. And yeah, thank you for being here. I'm Luis from Koenig, and this is Scott from Koenig. And yeah, we're here to have another riveting conversation with you guys. And me and Scott got a lot to talk about this time.
Yeah, Luis and I have different definitions of riveting. But with that said, we are going to have a conversation. We've said this before. A lot of the stuff that we talk about ends up coming from conversations we either have with people like you that are out there. We communicate with, kind of in the comments section or, in the DMs and different emails that we send. And a lot of other times it comes from just internal debates or arguments that we had in the office because we feel if we're having these conversations here that you're having those conversations there.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that the reason why I want to have this conversation is because obviously I've been putting it out there that I have a Ford Fiesta, and obviously I've been teasing you guys about what I'm going to do with it, and I have done absolutely nothing just yet. And you know why? Because I'm scared.
Again, riveting. So today we're going to be talking, look, Luis has a lot of unfounded fears, but some that are legitimate and concerns that you guys have, right? You always get that stage of like, do you turn your daily? Do you modify your daily? Is there something that, like, Luis is kind of in that stage where he's like, oh, I should wait till I get a project car so I can have a dedicated car that I can mess with and it won't affect my getting to work and going to hang out, with my friends and different things like that. And I think that it's a legitimate concern. So there's pieces of this, and so we started talking about different modifications, and we're arguing over which one of those modifications really would be, a death sentence or cause him drama, and I think that's kind of where we were at,
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things too that you got to think about. I think about these type of things, the amount of time and effort that I want to put into something. Not only that, I'm fearful of messing something up if I'm doing it myself. Should I take it to someone to actually work on it for the first time, or is it something that I do at home? Yeah. I think about, like, for example, Scott has suggested over also maybe kind of joking around and stuff like that. It's kind of putting a turbo into the car, and is that some?
Oh, geez, I mean, like, way to jump into the deep
well,
end
I mean,
here. Why don't we go through something that's actually realistic? Let's
Okay.
start with a modification path for most new vehicle owners that will modify their vehicle.
Well, so let's put it like this. Like,
why don't you just jump into a built engine?
well, so let's talk about like my setup as far as like wheels and stuff. Obviously, that's something that I'm gonna do. One of the things. Yes. Well,
Sure.
The reason why I've been waiting for it is because, luckily, we've actually made some sizes of this specific wheel right here. Ooh, look at it. The heliogram in for my Ford Fiesta. And I wanted to kind of wait on that wheel and to kind of put it on my setup. But
she's coming.
But I want to move up a size. I want to move up a size because OE, it comes with 15-inch wheels. I want to go to 17-inch.
Oh.
Okay.
So what you're saying is you want to flex on them.
Yes. But this is what I'm scared of too.
Yeah.
Because let's say once I put that on, that means that I have to think about lowering the car, because you don't want to sit there so high with amount of space, especially me working at Koenig. I gotta come out fresh. You know what I mean?
What he's saying is he doesn't want to get trashed by everybody in the office.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So these are things that I think about too, and then I start to look at lowering springs, coilovers, all these choices that I can possibly have when it comes to the car. And then you start that, but then that's the thing that happens with car people when you're around car people as well. Then all of a sudden you do these things, and now you start talking about what you're gonna put under the hood, and I want to do it.
But why? But let me ask you a question, and I've been down this rabbit hole many times.
Exactly.
I'm the guy that has bought cars before, and before I even came home with the car. I had, a room full of parts waiting for me. So I understand, but like what I guess what I'm saying is that, why take yourself so far down the rabbit hole before you've done anything? Like, you won't really know your modification path and what kind of things you're comfortable with or what kind of things you really want to do until you start doing some of the things that I would classify as some of the basics.
Yeah. Well, so and this is the type of spectrum of people that I deal with when it comes to working here. And this is also me traveling and being able to kind of talk to a lot of automotive people and stuff like that. One moment I'm talking to someone, they're like, "Yo, wheels, and that wheel stance, all that. That's a great way to start." Then all of a sudden I have a conversation with someone else, like a Steve Ansey or something. He's telling me to autocross it. So it's like that's like the range of people that I speak to.
Okay. But even if you were gonna autocross it, you're gonna have to make some form of modification to really have a car that can hold up, especially Fiesta. Look, if you have a stock, Porsche GT3, right? If you have a stock GT3, if you have, a car like a Civic Type R, an Evo, maybe an STI, not that the cars won't necessarily have some slop in them, out of the box, but those cars are much more tuned from the factory. So you could probably be a weekend warrior that wants to keep their car, quote unquote, stock and still have a really good time autocrossing your car.
Yeah.
You took your car out to autocross flat out of the gate, and I'm going to say it's going to be a miserable day.
Of course.
Right?
Obviously.
And it's going to be fun to watch because you're going to be like I could probably ride my bike beside you. So I guess the point I'm trying to say is that from your platform, from your car, you're going to have to start somewhere if you even wanted to go to that, autocross capability. Autocross is a lot of fun. It is, but
and see,
we're not talking about that today.
This is the type of situation that I'm dealing with right now.
Yeah,
is the simple fact of like, let's say if I do decide to get a project car, how long is that going to take me? You know what I mean? These are things I'm thinking about in my brain, and then I'm like, well, you know what? I want to have fun. I want to try new things. I want to, mod this car and see where it goes. And
sure.
But then at the same time, it's like, what's the smarter thing to do in this situation? Or maybe not
smarter,
smarter,
but
but
use the term smarter.
Yeah,
I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
We don't look at cars for the predominant people that are going to, or the predominant amount of people that are going to modify their vehicle. We don't look at it from a retail value or a smart perspective, right? So you're talking about now, what's the smart move? I think. What do you want your car to look like?
Well, so give me an example here. So, for example, let's just blank canvas.
Let's blank.
You bought the 350Z when you bought it.
Yeah.
What did you say to yourself? Did you buy that car with the intentions of doing some modifications to it, or did you just buy it and be like, you know what, I want to kind of just have a 350Z, or did it just gradually happen?
I will never own a car that I declare a project car without having a ton of stuff I want to do to it.
Oh, see, yeah.
Like it just doesn't come from me that way. Like if I would modify everything. The only cars that I in my latter part of my life that I have never really modified are the cars that I strictly got because I needed to take my kids around, my family around. Like there are some cars that I don't want to modify because if you would have given me the choice to go pick any other thing, the car that I bought wouldn't be the one I would have wanted, right? Like, I'll give you for example. Right now, I have a Volkswagen Atlas. It's one of those big Volkswagen-y SUV things. All-wheel drive V6, seven seats. Has the third row. If I did not have kids, I wouldn't have bought that car. Not because I don't think the car is good, not because I haven't had a good experience with the car. Because inherently, I would have probably picked something more on the tuner end, sport end, stuff like that. But I can't because I have to haul my daughter and around her little dance friends and the whole thing. And so for me to modify that car, it's not that I wouldn't. I would. Mm-hmm. I don't love the car enough to want to spend my money there when I can spend my money on the Z.
Yeah.
Right? That to me is a priority thing, not a adverse to modification thing.
But and now what I'm trying to get to is what made you say like, okay, like for example, you bought the 350Z.
Yeah.
What made you say, okay, I want to like, is that just initially in your mind that you wanted to do from the beginning, or is it just something that you kind of were like, okay, and where do you start?
Well, so I was super fortunate with the Z, that I actually bought it from another guy, another enthusiast, that my friend, which you'll see, remotely through here, Vinny 10, who's an import drag racing legend. But like we were we were, we're super friendly, and he called me up one day and he's like, "Hey, listen, I got this Z. It's super clean. Dude's about to boot. He dropped it off, and and he said, "Hey, we're put it back to stock for me. Keep all the parts. I'm trading the car in. He was having a baby. The car only has 2 seats. I get it, right?" So, so I rushed down there and picked it up with a pretty decent amount of things on the car, right? And then I've obviously taken it, from there and done a bunch of stuff for that I like, and obviously modified it my way. But let's go back to, let's say, some other basic cars that I've had in the past. Yeah, I mean, when I get a car that's stock, especially if it's a car that I really wanted and I bought, whether it be an Evo or something like that. Yeah, I mean, to me, I seem to always have a very similar modification path. I do wheels and tires, suspension right out of the gate, like probably before anything. And then right after that, I seem to gravitate right towards power modifications.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of the cars that I choose to own, are, especially until this point, have been turbo cars.
Yeah.
So the first thing I try to do is, get the car tuned, put intake, exhaust, open up the intake track, put a downpipe on the car, and get the car tuned, or tune the car to be able to maximize the turbo I have on the car. And then clearly my next thought process is, all right, now I need a new turbo and bolt-on modification. So in, whether it be months after that, or if I have the money right then, now I'm looking for an upgraded turbo. I'm looking for injectors. I'm looking to push the car through bolt-on modifications up into the point where I'm going to need to build the engine to be able to take advantage of a bigger turbo and start all over again.
Yeah.
That's always seemed to be my same modification part. But I'll tell you this, that, I've been looking for C6 Z06s. They're fairly pricey right now. I don't know if that will ever change, but now for a car like that, I wouldn't take it all the way. I don't think I would, unless the car was already forced induction. I don't think I would turbo it or supercharge it, but I do believe that I would put a set of heads on the car and change the cam, because just by doing that stuff and throwing an exhaust in the car nets out like another 120 horsepower. Like how do you not just take advantage of that? So what I guess, all right, so now let's go back to your Fiesta.
So for and that's what I'm talking about. Like, listen, I obviously work here, and it's something that I'm interested in. It's obviously, sometimes I've sat there with Scott in his garage and I see him working, and obviously I'm interested. The biggest thing that I guess I'm dealing with is, once you go in and you start something, I'm the type of person where there's no way that I'm not going to try to do my best in making it what the best version of what that may be. And that's the thing that I'm dealing with right now. Being able to sit there and say, okay, because I know myself, once I start with one thing, I start, just like you just said it 2 seconds ago, I'm going to get a wheels and tire setup, and then it's going to look good. And then I'm going to be like, okay, click, open up that hood. And then I start looking at where I can start there.
Well, look, I think your car is a good limitation for you, right? I think that you put wheels and tires on the car and suspension in the car. Mm-hmm. And when we say suspension, there's a dramatic spectrum of where you could spend money, how much money you could spend, and what the result could be. Yeah. So I think that there's a lot of range there to do it on a very budgetary and friendly level, but still feel some result. Yeah. And I'll explain that in a second. But in other words, if let's say you get wheels and tires on the car, all right, so the wheels and tires, especially going to an upsize thing, they're going to take away a lot of the slop in the sidewall. Yeah. And the car is definitely going to handle a little bit better. It's also going to handle rougher, which means it's going to ride a little rougher. The ride quality does go down when you increase the diameter of a wheel, because you're going to a much smaller profile tire. But then let's say we go suspension. All right, you don't have the most money in the world right now, so let's just go ahead and let's say we're going to put a set of new shocks or new struts in the car, and we're going to put in just a regular lowering spring. Yeah. Something from Eibach, whatever it may be. Put it in there, get the car down like an inch or so that it doesn't look like a 4x4 project, and all of a sudden we're going to chill there. Yeah. Right? Yep. So there's levels to there. Maybe that's enough for you to spend $50 and go run an autocross, and see if you even like it. Like, there's plenty of people that you don't have to necessarily make the car faster to run autocross.
And this is one of the things that, and speaking to a lot of people who now I consider my friend, someone like Nick Steniford, who I speak to all the time, Casey Cole, who I see that they're obviously enthusiasts through and through.
Well,
but all I ever hear is how much of a money pit being into this could be. And my biggest fear is, knowing myself, like I just said 2 seconds ago, is once I start, where does it stop?
Well, so let me ask you a question. And what other hobbies do you really know of that aren't a rabbit hole or expensive?
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I could never play golf. I cannot dedicate a half a day to running around smashing a little white ball with a club and then chasing the ball around trying to put it into a little hole that's 400 yards that way. Just like will never happen, right?
Yeah.
But if I acknowledge that there's a lot of people that love that sport.
What if
and you got golf clubs that are thousands of dollars. You have tee times that cost $140 per tee time. Like, you have the drinks that you're going to spend when you go golfing. Because let's be honest, 94% of you that golf, trust me, you're only going golfing so you can drink. And then when we start talking about that whole rabbit hole, I mean, so where's the rabbit hole in that? Guns. There's plenty of people that find guns to be amusing, right? And so, like, they come out with their arsenal. I mean, those things cost a grip of money. Ammo to go shoot those guns?
Yeah.
Grip of money. So I guess what I'm saying is, I mean, aside from maybe competitive Frisbee, I don't know too many hobbies that aren't going to take you down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Baking.
Yeah. Baking is expensive.
Well, you especially got to buy all that crap. And then you make it, and everybody eats it, and then you got to wait for a weight loss program, ask me how I know, so that you can shed the weight from eating the cake. So what I'm saying to you here is, I think hobbies are a natural passion thing.
Yeah.
And so I think you go until the passion isn't there anymore, or you go until you're like, that's enough for me.
There you go.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So, but that's where I'm trying to figure it out, because like I mentioned, at the end of the day, it's one of those things that I know myself. Once I start, I can't stop, and it's one of those things that in any hobby that I've ever picked up or anything like that, I always try to go 110%. And I'm kind of at that. I've done this before already. I remember the one time that I tried to mod my car with the Eagle Talent, and that was a money pit.
All right. So let's keep it 100. I'm a DSM guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
My roots are in DSM.
Yeah.
I love those cars on an unexponential scale.
Yeah.
Very large.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you couldn't have a bad experience with that car. Like here's the thing. They weren't inherently awesome as far as their capabilities to stay running, stay together, and not break. But eventually a guy like me who got to a point where, like, I built so many of them, I knew all the nuances to them. But, like, for somebody to come in and be like, I'm going to build, a DSM right out of the gate, I can see that. I can see the issues.
Sometimes I always think about where that car is. So I mentioned this before.
Right now, it's probably in some junkyard.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
But the second gear went out, and I sold it. Just like that. That's how, when I was young, dude, me and my friends, we used to get cars, just play around with them, and then just be like, pfft, like it was nothing.
Well, and that is the difference between you and I. Let me tell you what happened when I lost a second gear. I was, let's see, my first DSM, so I was 20, well, maybe I was 21. Anyhow, bottom line is, I remember being at home. I remember being a problem. It was summertime. I was home from college. I backed the car into the garage my mom parks in, and not like a double car garage, like a single car garage. It was her only space. I backed the car in. I put the car on jack stands. I proceeded to take the transmission out of the car. I then used her kitchen table to disassemble the transmission. Now, I started probably about 8:30 in the morning by the time my mom got home around 3:45, 4 o'clock, her white kitchen table was now covered with some plastic bags and the remnants of all the transmission parts I was able to take apart after I got the case apart. Because, hey, listen, when you have a bad second gear, which wasn't really bad second gear, it was a synchros, but bottom line is, that was the difference between me and you.
Yeah.
You're like, all right, my road here is coming to a close.
It wasn't even that. I was over it.
Well, I understand.
Yeah.
But so you got there, and I was like, nah,
Yeah.
still in for it.
Yeah.
I'll just take all this crap apart my mom's kitchen table, smelling the whole house up of gear oil. Probably on the list of things that my mom didn't really enjoy at that time. It was even worse knowing that I took something apart I marginally thought I could get back together all by myself. That has a lot of parts. They were all drawn out, and it didn't go back together as quick as I was hoping. So we ate in the den for a little while.
All right. Anyways.
I don't know what you want me to say. Like, that's just the difference. Like, everybody's got a different level. You know what I mean? Like, I think you should modify to the level that you feel comfortable with. But, like, I don't think you should be afraid of modifications. I think you need to do the research and do modifications well. And I think in your case, you have a bunch of people in this building that have nothing but experience to lead you down the right path.
Yeah.
So I think I would just draw on that and do it to the point where you feel you're saturated.
Yeah.
That that you're content.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you do that with any modifications, will you get to a point where you'll say, all right, I've done this stuff and now I want to do more?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. But maybe you'll get to a point where you'll say, you know what, this is good enough for me.
Yeah. Or
maybe you'll get to a point where you say, hey, look, now it doesn't make sense for me to keep going with this car because when I do, to go to that next level, it's just too much money.
Yeah.
And, and that's the difference between maybe like, you have a Focus, I'm getting a phone call. You have a Focus, not a Focus, Fiesta, and it's not an ST.
Yep.
But that may be the difference between, well, if you had an ST, would you go further? And I believe the answer to that would be yes, because it would be easier with a car coming turbo from the factory and tuning and some of these aftermarket capabilities.
Yep.
I think you would be able to get more out of the power plant much easier than the platform you have now. So your car may be a natural limiting factor into how far you modify it before you either say, I'm good, or you say, all right, I'm good, I'll keep this as a daily, I need to look for a project car, something that's more along the lines of what I want to do. Yeah. Or maybe not. Maybe you pack it away, put on your panties and go to whatever. Well, I don't know.
And when we were having this conversation earlier, I think Scott put it best in a sense, like, sometimes people forget that, we were talking about hobbies and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, you modify your car, not because there's something that you're going to get out of it, but it's because you love doing it, And I think that's one of the best messages that I got out of the conversation that we had before this about this topic. And the reason why I wanted to have this topic is because, I think, I have to kind of go in that direction and kind of just decide, okay, this is what I want to do because
you want to do it.
I want to do it.
Yeah, I think that's the piece. Like, do something that you want to do until you don't want to do it anymore. For me, I can't help myself. Like, I need, like,
I mean, obviously transmission was all over your mom's beautiful kitchen.
Well, look, Luis, I mean, somebody's got to fix it. But like, look, I think that there's, like, for me with cars, like, and I've heard this before, like, is there ever a level, like, I enjoy building the car sometimes even more than I enjoy driving the car. Yeah. And because I like that puzzle piece, I like that fabrication, I like all the things that come along with it. Now, that doesn't keep me from cursing, screaming, and throwing tools when things aren't going my way. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I find my most comfortable spot is in the garage with my TV on, with some ridiculous thing on the TV while I'm with my tools kind of outside. You know what I mean? Like, that's that for me is a very calming, spiritual type place.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like for me, I like, people say, oh, well, wouldn't you ever pay somebody? Or it's not about that. Like it's not about that. Like I want to be. I don't. It's not like I'm trying to consciously do things on cars. I just want to constantly be doing things on cars.
There you go.
Right.
Said it best.
Wait, but let's not forget the insult that Luis threw at me before. I think it's very important that we put this out publicly. Luis breaks.
Well, some of you guys that are probably watching know that.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I had said to him, we were talking about this stuff. I'm like, well, what is the value of being a B-boy? Right. And I was doing it in a sense to basically get him to say, well, no, the money.
Well, I started to think about it. I realized there wasn't much for me to say.
Wait. So I was trying to make the point that the value that you get out of being a B-boy is just that you love it. So you're not concerned with how much money it costs you as long as you are enjoying the heck out of it.
100%.
And when I said to Luis, so what's the benefit that you get out of it? He goes, well, look, I'm healthy. And he like that was kind of like, well, you're into cars and look at you and look at me. Well, there's my benefit. And I'm like, you son
I didn't mean it like that. I didn't mean it like that.
All right. Anyhow, but that's pretty. Look, that's it. I'm interested to see some of the comment section. So if you guys have any thoughts on this, throw them in.
I think this is another reason why I wanted to kind of have this conversation is because what does it mean to you? You know what I mean? Like, what are the benefits of modifying your car? You know what I mean? Like, obviously, we're an aftermarket brand.
Let's start with this. If you're watching this live, wait till the live ends because a lot of those comments don't ever show up like they're supposed to. I don't know why, but come back to the video once it's posted, and what I want you to do is I want you to put in what car you have.
Yep.
What were your first few modifications?
Yep.
Where do you plan to take your car?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, how far do you plan to take it? Is this a stepping stone car? Just trying to do a couple things, drive around, enjoy myself. I'm saving up for the car I really want.
Yeah.
Is this the car that I'm going to take all the way and then, that car will kind of get pushed to being a race car, dedicated, whatever, show vehicle, whatever you want to do, and you're going to get another car as a daily driver. Give us the sense of what you're working with.
Yeah. I think, and like to me, it's interesting to see the progression of how people become just I guess you would call it a civilian in this, person who just bought their car to becoming a person who's a car enthusiast. And how did that happen? How did that road happen? That to me is a very interesting thing. You know, I've had a lot of conversations with people like yourself, people like
Savannah
and all that, and how they get to that point.
Very
and
different.
Then you realize like they are in love with this game.
Yeah.
I guess, you know what I mean? And I wanted to have that conversation in some capacity, even with you guys.
Yeah, don't forget, if you haven't already, click that like button, click the subscribe button. All the giveaways we're going to be doing from here on out for most part of this year will probably come in an announcement form on our YouTube channel. So if you're listening on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or iHeartMedia, make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel, Koenig Wheels USA.
And one thing I want to say, don't forget, our wheels are coming out very soon.
Yeah, they're
very, very soon. Literally to the point where
close.
I think I could feel it. I could
wow.
I could feel it right here. But
Yeah.
Make sure to put those pre-orders in. You never know. You know, you might look cool like next to my Fiesta because I'm going to have these things on.
Riveting, right? Anyhow, with that said, don't forget that Friday we drop a piece of content as we always do.
Ooh.
I think it's a good one. It's a garage tour, if I'm correct.
With
Vinny 10.
Vinny 10.
Listen,
the tuner legend himself.
Vinny is one of those guys I have known for like 15, 16, 17 years. I grew up watching him race.
Yeah.
And watching him on, on television, doing the Nopies and stuff like that. Cool guy, a ridiculous amount of information, eccentric, but in a good way.
Well, like
and
you ever seen that Side Talk NYC? I would love Vinny 10 to be on Side Talk NYC.
Oh yeah,
he is the quintessential
New Yorker,
Brooklyn, Canarsie, funny dude. You're really gonna dig it. Like I'm telling you, if you liked Side Talk NYC, if you know what that is, that Instagram is. This guy's the one that's gonna deliver. I hopefully they get to see it some capacity because Vinny 10 is hilarious in a great way.
Yeah, he's super funny, super knowledgeable. His garage tour is gonna be cool.
And you get to see,
Yeah.
you get to also see the 350Z that he has, the blue one
Mm-hmm.
with the drag 350Z.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's in the video too. This
is a
legend,
This is a
man.
car that's like
That's a legendary car,
I'm trying to
man.
think if they hit 8s. I think they hit high 8s, but if not, they were definitely in the low 9s. This car is a pretty crazy car. Remember, Vinny 10 has gone, I believe, 6s. He was probably one of the first ones, I think, to go 6s with that platform way back in the day. Look it up, check it out. He's a 350Z VQ / Supra 2JZ Master. You know, and he does a lot of stuff with Subarus now. So it's been interesting
I saw
to
there
watch.
was a Supra there too.
Yeah. It's been interesting to watch his business really evolve, and the fact that he has built such a great business on even the GTR platforms.
Well, not only that, to see what he's done in New York itself. If you look at this garage, this is no little baby garage. This is a real thing. There's sections where there's a section in the back over there where it's just strictly for engines, where he works on engines.
But so I think the other thing that people will see when they watch this thing too is just the fact that, his spot, like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, his spot is a good spot on a main street, which in New York costs a lot of money.
Oh my God.
But this is one of these guys that if he had, this business, if they had one of the, in the middle of Ohio, Pennsylvania, and they had one of those really big, large, steel buildings, it would still be full of cars that are getting worked out. They turn out a tremendous amount of work. They do big dollar, I don't want to say money, but like they do big jobs.
Yeah.
These are full on builds. Cars that come out of the gate, tuned, ready to go, pick up, and they have a dyno. They tune the cars there. They build the cars there. They build the engines on site. This is a fairly one-stop shop, maybe with the exception of chassis fab. And I would say with chassis fab, most of the time they'll get it done for you. But yeah, I mean, they're incredible. It's a good shop, but also in this shop, you're gonna find that like they've crammed every nook and cranny full of stuff, and they could use way more space. But welcome to New York.
Yeah.
That's it.
All
We're
right,
out of
guys.
here.
Thank you so much.
Take care of yourself. Somebody will see you next week.
Yeah. Bye.
Peace out.